What happens when a country is forced to choose between its values and its national interests? Should a democracy support democratic movements in a neighboring country, or should it engage with an authoritarian regime if geography and security demands it? Few relationships explain this dilemma better than the story of India and Myanmar. Because India's Myanmar policy is not just the story of two neighbors. It is a story of how security, geography, and great power competition shape foreign policy. To understand why Myanmar is so important to India, we need to begin with geography. Myanmar is the only ASEAN country with which India shares a land boundary. It connects India's northeast to Southeast Asia and therefore acts as a physical bridge between India's neighborhood first policy and its act east policy. The strategic importance is why scholar Avinash Paliwal famously describes Myanmar as India's Near East. But India Myanmar relations were not always driven by strategy. When both countries gained independence, their relationship was built upon a shared historical experience of colonialism. The first phase from 1948 to 1962 can be understood as a period of post colonial idealism and ideational synchrony. India under Jawaharlal Nehru and Myanmar under U Nu shared similar visions of the world. Both supported anti imperialism, Asian solidarity, the non aligned movement, and the principles of Panchashil. Their relationship was therefore based more on a common values than strategic calculations. Rajiv Bhatia describes this phase as one dominated by normative diplomacy rather than hard power bargaining. The border itself was viewed less as a security frontier and more as a space of cultural exchange shaped by Buddhism, trade routes, and long standing social connections. However, international relations rarely remained static. The first major rupture came in 1962 when General Mi Win seized power through a military coup and introduced the Burmese way to socialism. Myanmar moved towards political isolation and economic nationalism. Thousands of Indians living in Myanmar were displaced as industries were nationalized, breaking one of the strongest social and economic links between the two countries. This period created what the document calls an autarkic deep freeze in India Myanmar relations. But the consequences were not only social, they were deeply strategic. The weakening of India's relationship with Myanmar created a space that China gradually entered. Beijing develops its POC for relationship with Myanmar, building political and strategic influence. At the same time, the unstable border regions became safe spaces for insurgent groups like Naga and Mizo insurgencies, increasing India's security concerns. For a long period, India responded with what scholars call benign neglect. New Delhi focused more on immediate challenges from Pakistan and China, while Myanmar remained on the margins of foreign policy. But another dramatic shift came in 1988. Myanmar witnessed 8888 uprising, a massive pro-democracy movement against military rule. As the world's largest democracy, India naturally supported democratic aspirations. It openly backed Aung San Suu Kyi and provided support to democratic activists. From a moral perspective, this was consistent with India's identity. However, from a strategic perspective, the results were more complicated. Scholar Renaud Egrito describes this phase as a case of normative overstretch. India's attempt to isolate the military regime did not weaken the junta. Instead, it created a strategic vacuum that China filled by becoming Myanmar's major arms supplier and economic partner. At the same time, the Myanmar military became less cooperative in controlling anti India insurgent groups operating along the border. India learned an important lesson. Foreign policy cannot be based only on ideals, it must also consider geography and national security. This realization transformed India's approach in 1990s. After economic liberalization in 1991, Prime Minister Narasimha Rao launched the Look East policy. Myanmar was no longer seen simply as a neighbor. It became India's gateway to Southeast Asia and a crucial element of India's larger Asian strategy. This period marked a transition from normative idealism to structural realism. In simple words, India began accepting that the international system is shaped by power, security, and strategic competition. New Delhi adopted the doctrine of constructive engagement, meaning it would work with Myanmar's military government, not because it endorsed military rule, but because cooperation was necessary for counterinsurgency, border management, energy security, and balancing China's growing influence. This new approach led to military cooperation through operations like Operation Golden Bird in 1995, expansion of energy ties through projects such as Shwa gas fields, and the beginning of India's strategic presence in the Bay of Bengal. And this transformation tells us something much bigger about the nature of international politics. States do not always have a luxury of choosing between morality and interest. More often, they are forced to balance both. India's Myanmar policy represent exactly this tension, a journey from post-colonial solidarity and democratic idealism towards strategic realism shaped by geography, security, and the rise of China. But this was the only beginning. In the next phase, Myanmar would become much more than a neighboring country. It would become the center of India's Act East policy, a crucial corridor to Southeast Asia, and one of the most important arenas of India China competition in the Indo Pacific.